night of October 31st, when darkness falls and the boundary between worlds grows thin. People have gathered for centuries to ask questions that should never be answered. They light candles in empty rooms. They stare into mirrors until their reflections change. They speak to the dead, and sometimes the dead speak back. Before we descend into the shadows of these ancient rituals, join us on this journey into the unknown. Subscribe and share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you ever tried to glimpse your future on Halloween night? Tell us what you saw. There is a night each year when the rules change. A night when the living and the dead walk side by side, separated only by a breath, a heartbeat, a whisper. The Celts called it Samhain. We call it Halloween. But beneath the costumes and candy lies something far older and far more dangerous. For thousands of years, on this single night, humans have performed rituals designed to pierce the veil between worlds and glimpse what lies beyond. They seek answers to forbidden questions. Who will I marry? When will I die? Is someone watching me from the other side? These were not games. These were sacred ceremonies performed in firelight and shadow, where every flicker of flame held meaning and every reflection in a mirror might show you something that wasn't there before. The practitioners knew the risks. They understood that to ask a question of the universe on Halloween is to invite an answer you may not want to hear, yet they asked anyway. And what they discovered changed them forever. Let us return to the beginning, to the windswept hills of ancient Ireland and Scotland, where autumn brought more than falling leaves. It brought fear. The Celts who inhabited these lands 2,000 years ago understood something modern society has forgotten. Time is not linear. It moves in cycles, in spirals, in circles that repeat and overlap. And there are moments when these circles align, when the barriers between past and present, between life and death, grow so thin they nearly vanish. Samhain, celebrated on the night of October 31st, was one such moment. The harvest had ended. Winter loomed. The world stood poised between light and darkness, between the living year and the dying one. On this threshold night, the Celts believed the spirits of the dead returned to walk among the living. The boundary separating our world from the other world dissolved like morning mist, and in that liminal space, that gap between worlds, divination became possible. The future could be glimpsed, fate could be questioned, destiny could be revealed. But knowledge always comes at a price. The ancient practitioners prepared for Samhain with reverence and fear. They extinguished their hearth fires, plunging their homes into darkness. They gathered on hilltops where massive bonfires blazed against the October sky. flames reaching toward the heavens as if trying to bridge the gap between earth and stars. Around these fires, they performed rituals passed down through generations, rituals designed to protect them from malevolent spirits and to divine what the coming year would bring. They needed to know. In a world without modern medicine, without weather forecasts, without any certainty beyond the next sunrise, the future was a terrifying unknown. Would they survive the winter? Would their children live to see spring? Would love find them? Or would they die alone? On Samhain, the veil was thin enough to ask, thin enough to receive answers. And so they devised methods, tests, rituals, games that were not really games at all. The apple became sacred. This fruit, harvested in autumn, round as the full moon, concealing seeds within its flesh like secrets waiting to be born, held special significance in Celtic tradition. It was the fruit of knowledge, the fruit of immortality, the fruit of the other world itself. To divine with an apple on Samhain was to hold the future in your hands. The ritual was simple, deceptively simple. Take an apple, peel it in one continuous strip, letting the skin spiral down like a ribbon of fate. The peel must not break. One break, and the magic shatters. The future becomes clouded. The answer lost. When the peeling is complete, stand with your back to a mirror. Close your eyes. Whisper your question to the darkness. Then throw the apple peel over your left shoulder. Turn around slowly. Look at the shape the peel has formed on the floor. If you are asking about love, about marriage, the peel will form a letter, the initial of your future spouse. But look carefully, look closely, because sometimes the peel forms other shapes. Sometimes it shows you a coffin. Sometimes it shows you nothing at all, just a twisted mass of skin and juice and broken promise. Those who performed this ritual reported strange occurrences, the peel landing in impossible formations, letters they could not possibly create through random chance, and in the mirror behind them, as they turned, sometimes they saw more than their own reflection. They saw a figure standing in the shadows, watching, waiting. But the apple held more secrets than its skin. Another tradition involved filling a large basin with water and floating apples on the surface. This became the game we now call apple bobbing, sanitized and simplified for children's parties. But the original ritual was darker. The water represented the boundary between worlds. The apple was floating like souls adrift between life and death. To catch an apple with your teeth without using your hands was to seize your fate. The first person to succeed would be the first to marry in the coming year. But there was a warning. Look into the water as you reach for the apple. Look at your reflection. If you see your face clearly, you will live to see another Samhain. But if your reflection is distorted, blurred, or if you see another face looking back at you from beneath the water, death is coming. There are accounts from the 18th and 19th centuries of young women who refused to participate after seeing something in the water, something that wore their face but was not them. They would back away, trembling, refusing to speak of what they had witnessed. And in several documented cases, these women died before the next Halloween arrived. Coincidence, perhaps, or perhaps the water showed them exactly what it promised to show, the truth. Candles became instruments of prophecy. Fire has always been humanity's window into the unknown. Flames dancing with messages from realms we cannot see. On Halloween night, divination by candlelight took many forms, each more unsettling than the last. The simplest method required only a single candle and absolute darkness. Light the candle at midnight. Place it on a table in the center of an empty room. Sit before it. Watch the flame. Do not blink. Do not look away. Ask your question aloud, letting your voice fill the silence. Then wait. If the flame burns steady and bright, your future is secure. If it flickers, change is coming. If it bends to the left, beware of deception. If it bends to the right, unexpected fortune approaches. But if the flame suddenly grows tall, reaching upward as if pulled by invisible hands, or if it turns blue at its heart, a spirit is present in the room with you, and you must decide whether to continue the ritual or extinguish the candle and run. Those who continued reported hearing whispers in languages they did not understand. They reported seeing shadows move along the walls where no shadows should exist, and some reported that the candle would answer their questions by going out completely, plunging them into absolute darkness. In that darkness, they were not alone. But there was another candle ritual, one that required more courage than most possessed. It was called the Dumb Supper, and it was performed by those desperate enough to invite the dead to dine with them. The ritual demanded precise execution. Set a table for two. Prepare a full meal, cooking in complete silence. You must not speak a single word from the moment you begin until the ritual ends. Silence is the currency of the dead. They will only come if you respect their realm of quietness. Place the meal on the table. Set 2 places, 2 plates, 2 glasses of wine. Light a white candle in the center. Then sit and wait. Eat your meal slowly, watching the empty chair across from you. At some point during the meal, the candle will flicker. The air will grow cold. And if you have done everything correctly, if your silence has been absolute, you will see someone sitting across from you. It might be a loved one who has passed. It might be your future spouse, appearing as a phantom to give you hope. Or it might be something else entirely, something that has been waiting for an invitation to cross over. The figure may eat from the plate before them. They may drink the wine. They may look at you with eyes that hold all the sorrow of the grave. But you must not speak. You must not scream. You must finish your meal in silence. Thank them with a nod. And only then, only when the meal is complete, can you speak the words to release them. Blow out the candle. Say, return from whence you came, and pray. They listen. There are stories of those who broke the silence, who gasped or cried out when they saw what sat across from them. These people reported that the spirit became angry, violent, refusing to leave. Dishes would shatter, doors would slam, and the presence would linger in their homes for months afterward, making itself known through cold spots and whispered voices and the persistent feeling of being watched. But of all the Halloween divination methods, none carries more warning or danger or absolute terror than the mirror rituals. Mirrors have always been objects of supernatural significance. They reflect reality, but they also distort it. They show us ourselves, but reversed, flipped, not quite right. In folklore across cultures, mirrors are portals, gateways, windows into other dimensions where our doppelgangers live out alternative lives, where spirits press their faces against the glass, trying to break through. On Halloween, when the veil is thinnest, mirrors become especially dangerous. The most famous ritual is now known as Bloody Mary, sanitized into a slumber party game that children play without understanding its origins. But the true ritual is far older and far more sinister than its modern incarnation suggests. The original practice required a single mirror, preferably old, preferably one that had witnessed death. Victorian mourning mirrors draped in black cloth when someone died to prevent their soul from becoming trapped in the glass were considered especially powerful. The ritual could only be performed at midnight on Halloween, when both clock and calendar align to create maximum supernatural potency. Enter a room alone. It must be completely dark. No light can enter from outside. Place the mirror on the wall. Stand before it, close enough that your breath would fog the glass if there were any warmth left in the room. Light a single candle and hold it beside your face, casting half your features in shadow. Look into your reflection. Look deep. Look until your face begins to seem unfamiliar, until the person staring back at you looks like a stranger. Then speak the words. The name varies by tradition. Bloody Mary, Mary Worth, Mary Wales. The name matters less than the repetition. Say it 3 times. Say it 9 times. Say it 13 times. Each tradition demands a different number, but all agree on this. When you speak the name for the final time, something will change. Your reflection will shift. The face in the mirror will no longer be your own. Some see an old woman, haggard and bleeding, her eyes filled with centuries of rage. Some see a beautiful woman in white, beckoning them closer. And some see themselves, but wrong. Themselves, as they will appear in death, themselves as corpses, rotting and hollow-eyed, reaching out from the other side of the glass. The ritual demands that you not look away. You must maintain eye contact with whatever appears. If you break contact, if you run, the spirit may follow you out of the mirror. It may attach itself to you, but if you hold its gaze, if you show no fear, it will answer one question. Any question about your future, about your fate, about when and how you will die. But here is the terrible truth that most do not learn until it is too late. The Spirit only tells you what you cannot change. There are documented accounts of individuals who performed this ritual and received visions of their own deaths, a car accident on a specific date, an illness that would consume them, a betrayal that would end their life. And no matter what they did to prevent these outcomes, no matter how they struggled against fate, the visions came true exactly as shown. The mirror does not lie, but neither does it offer hope. It simply reveals what is already written in the fabric of time. Some never recovered from what they saw. A young woman in Ireland, 1897, performed the mirror ritual on Halloween and saw herself drowning in a lake. She avoided water for the rest of her life, never going near rivers, ponds, or the sea. She lived in constant fear, a prisoner of the vision. 40 years later, she died. The cause? She choked on a glass of water, her lungs filling with liquid, drowning on dry land exactly as the mirror had promised. This is the curse of foreknowledge. This is why the ancient practitioners warned that some questions should never be asked, because once you know, you cannot unknow. Once you see, you cannot unsee. Yet people continue to perform these rituals. Every Halloween, in darkened rooms across the world, candles are lit, mirrors are consulted, questions are whispered into the void, and the void whispers back. There is one ritual that surpasses all others in its darkness, its danger, its absolute defiance of the natural order. It is rarely spoken of. Those who know of it do not share its details lightly. It is called the crossroads ritual, and it requires you to go to a place where worlds intersect. Find a crossroads, not just any intersection, but a true crossroads where two old roads meet, preferably dirt roads, country roads, roads that have existed for generations. The crossroads is a place of power, a point where multiple paths converge, where decisions are made, where fate pivots. Throughout history, crossroads have been associated with spirits, with deals, with the devil himself. Arrive at the crossroads at midnight on Halloween. Bring a mirror. Stand in the exact center where the roads cross. Hold the mirror up so that it reflects the path behind you. Do not look directly at the crossroads. Only look at its reflection in the mirror. This reversed view, this backward glance, allows you to see what is usually invisible: the spirits gathering at the intersection, the entities drawn to this place of power on the night when barriers fall. Walk backward, watching the mirror, seeing the reversed world around you. If you are seeking knowledge of your future spouse, you may see them walking toward you in the mirror's reflection. If you are seeking knowledge of your death, you may see a figure in black. If you are seeking knowledge of your purpose, your fate, your reason for existing, you may see a road opening in the mirror that does not exist in the physical world. A road leading somewhere else, somewhere other. Some who perform this ritual report that the figure in the mirror speaks to them. It offers them choices. Take this path and prosper. Take that path and suffer. But all paths lead to the same destination eventually. All roads end at the same crossroads where you now stand. And the Spirit reminds you that every choice you make is simultaneously the right choice and the wrong one, because you can never know what would have happened had you chosen differently. This is the true horror of divination. Not that it fails to work, but that it works too well. It shows you a future that feels fixed, inevitable, carved in stone. And whether that future is good or bad, knowing it robs you of the present moment. You become so fixated on what will be that you forget to live what is. There is a reason these rituals have faded from common practice, a reason they exist now only in whispers and warnings and stories told to frighten children. Our ancestors learned through trial and terrible error that some knowledge comes at too high a price, that to glimpse the future is to lose something essential about being human. The hope, the uncertainty, the beautiful, terrible not knowing that makes each day a mystery worth living. Yet even now, even in our modern age of science and skepticism, people are drawn to these practices. They light candles, they peel apples, they stare into mirrors, they ask the questions, because the human need to know, to understand, to control fate is stronger than fear, stronger than wisdom, stronger than the warnings written in the fates of those who came before. And on Halloween night, when the veil grows thin, the universe sometimes answers. But the answers are not always what we want to hear. They are simply what is true, what has always been true, what will always be true. The ancient Celts understood this. They knew that Samhain was a night for respecting boundaries, even as those boundaries dissolved. Yes, they performed divination. Yes, they sought knowledge of the future, but they did so with reverence, with ritual, with the understanding that they were engaging with forces beyond their comprehension. They protected themselves with fire and iron. They spoke the proper words. They followed the rules. Modern practitioners often forget the rules. They treat these rituals as entertainment, as party tricks, as something to giggle about with friends. They do not prepare. They do not protect themselves. And when something goes wrong, when the mirror shows them something they cannot unsee, or the candle summons something they cannot dismiss, they have no idea how to make it stop. This is the warning that echoes through centuries. These rituals are not games. They are not harmless fun. They are genuine attempts to communicate with the other side, to breach the barrier between worlds, to demand answers from forces that do not operate by human rules or human morality. And those forces will respond, but their responses may not come in ways you expect or want. A woman in Massachusetts performed a candle divination in 2018 on Halloween night. She followed instructions she found online, simplified instructions that left out crucial protective elements. She lit the candle. She asked her question. She waited. The candle went out. She thought the ritual had failed. But 3 days later, she began hearing whispers in her apartment, voices speaking words she could not quite understand. The whispers continued for months. She moved to a new apartment. The whispers followed. She consulted priests, mediums, paranormal investigators. Nothing helped. The voices persist to this day, a constant reminder that she opened a door she did not know how to close. This is not an isolated incident. Every year, reports emerge of individuals who performed Halloween divination rituals and experienced lasting consequences, nightmares that feel more real than waking life, shadows that move independently, the sensation of being watched, objects moving on their own. Some are surely the products of overactive imaginations, of suggestion and fear, but some are not. Some are genuine encounters with something other, something that accepted the invitation, extended through ritual, and decided to stay. The question is not whether these rituals work. The evidence suggests that sometimes, under certain conditions, they do. The question is whether you are prepared for them to work, whether you are ready to receive the answer to your question, whether you can handle knowing what you are not meant to know. Because here is the final, most important truth about Halloween divination. The future is not a gift. It is a burden. Those who see it clearly often wish they had remained blind. They carry the weight of foreknowledge like a stone around their necks, unable to change what is coming, unable to forget what they have seen. They become ghosts before they die, haunting the days between now and the inevitable future, watching their lives unspool exactly as the ritual revealed. Is this freedom? Is this power? Or is it the cruelest prison imaginable? Our ancestors grappled with these questions. They understood that magic always cost something. That divination is not about gaining control, but about accepting that control is an illusion, that the future exists independently of our desires, our fears, our desperate need to know. And perhaps the greatest wisdom is in accepting uncertainty, in living each day as it comes, in trusting that not knowing is sometimes the kindest mercy the universe can offer. But human nature is curious. We cannot help ourselves. We see a locked door and we want to open it. We hear a forbidden question and we want to ask it. We stand before a mirror on Halloween night and we want to know what lies beyond our reflection. This curiosity is what makes us human. It is also what makes us vulnerable. So if you choose to perform these rituals, if you cannot resist the pull of the unknown, then at least do so with respect, with preparation, with understanding that you are engaging with forces older than civilization, older than language, older than humanity itself. These forces do not care about you. They do not wish you well or wish you harm. They simply are. And when you call to them, they may answer, but their answers come in forms you cannot predict or control. Protect yourself. Use the old methods. Light fires to keep malevolent spirits at bay. Carry iron to repel the fae. Speak the proper words of banishment before you begin, and after you end. Create a sacred space. Respect the ritual, and most importantly, ask yourself if you truly need to know the answer to your question. If you can live with not knowing, if you can accept that some mysteries are meant to remain mysteries. Because once you know, you cannot return to innocence. Once you see, you cannot unsee. The knowledge will change you. It will mark you. It will follow you through every day that remains between now and the future it revealed. And you will wonder on quiet nights when sleep will not come, whether knowing was worth the price you paid. Halloween night approaches. Somewhere, candles are being prepared, mirrors are being polished, apples are being gathered, questions are being whispered into the darkness, and the darkness is listening. The veil grows thin, the boundary dissolves, the dead walk among the living. And for one night each year, the universe offers to answer the questions we should never ask. Will you accept the invitation? Will you perform the rituals? Will you stare into the mirror and demand to see your fate? Or will you leave the candle unlit? Will you leave the mirror covered? Will you walk past the crossroads without stopping? Will you accept that not knowing is sometimes the greatest gift we can give ourselves? The choice, as always, has been yours, but so too will be the consequences. The ancient practitioners knew this. They performed their divinations with trembling hands and whispered prayers. They asked their questions, knowing that the answers might destroy them. But they asked anyway, because the human need to know is stronger than fear, stronger than wisdom, stronger than every warning that echoes through the centuries. And so the rituals continue, generation after generation, Halloween after Halloween. The candles are lit, the mirrors are consulted, the questions are asked, and somewhere in the space between worlds, something hears, something listens, something answers. What you do with those answers is up to you. But remember this: the future is not a destination. It is a river flowing toward an ocean you cannot see. You can dip your hand in the water. You can taste it. You can try to divine where it is going, but you cannot stop its flow. You cannot change its course. You can only decide whether to watch it pass or to leap in and let it carry you toward whatever end awaits. The ancients called this fate. We call it fortune. The spirits call it inevitable. On Halloween night, when the veil is thin and the boundaries blur, all names mean the same thing. The future exists. It waits for us. And whether we seek to know it or not, we move toward it with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment that passes. The question is not whether you will arrive. You will. We all will. The question is whether you want to see the path before you walk it. Some nights, the veil between worlds is so thin, you can almost touch what lies beyond. On those nights, when shadows dance and candlelight flickers, remember that the darkness always watches back until we meet again in the spaces between what is known and what should remain hidden. Keep your mirrors covered and your questions to yourself. Not all answers are meant to be found.